Botani and welcome to the sheds. We're back again, busy with our election preparations. Political parties have come, shared this platform, making promises, all making an undertaking that they are going to win. Today, we are shedding light on African transformation movement. Joining us is Aubrey Katsane. Molo tata.
Yes.
Kunjani?
Right, Kunjani.
Ndiyaphi. You are the Deputy Secretary General of the ATM. You are also the National Elections Team Coordinator of the ATM.
Yes.
How is the ATM preparing for the elections?
ATM has been through 2 elections, 2019, 2021. So we have learned from the 2019 elections. Remember, we were just 1 year old.
Yes.
So there's a lot of research that we had to do, researching different models of campaigns, different models of strategies, and what happens in other countries, even if it's not here in South Africa. So from there, we took lessons learned. Then we moved to 2021, which was a bit different because it was local government elections. So now we are back to the plan that we had in 2019. So ATM is preparing for the election. The advantage that we have is that we are nationwide. We are everywhere. So it is not a difficult task to prepare a plan of action that then focuses on what level, that focuses at local municipality level. Yes, we are going for provincial and national elections, but the actual work that is done on campaigns is done at the ward level. So what we have done is that we have created structures from national up to a VD level. So where we are not having enough footprint, that is where then we call our partners from churches, from traditional leaders, so that we can occupy every corner of South Africa. So far we have been preparing since last year, January, setting up the structures, launching branches in different provinces. So we went on to identify leaders at local level, at ward level. We went on to set up the structures now at the provincial and national. So as the National Elections Coordinator, I've got a very large team of people who are doing different things, from research to campaign managers to traditional leaders, fraternity, religious fraternity. So that is our strategy, but I can't disclose everything because elections are just very close,
around the
corner. So, but in terms of readiness, we are ready. We have launched our manifesto. We have been around so many provinces. Our president has been all over South Africa now. He's doing his last province, which is the Eastern Cape. The entire NEC is all over South Africa. They're campaigning for ATM, going to people and learning what the other parties are doing, but we are focusing on our manifesto.
You have set up structures across the country. You've crisscrossed the entire country with the national leadership. How is ATM received? And take into account that ATM is often counted amongst small parties, as people would say. And the example you're making of structures, national footprint, how do you think you are received? Did you get a sense that there's positive reception, or you worry each time you go to these places?
Look, the perception that is put there by the media and the analysts of small parties and big parties, that debate is still there. What do you regard as a small party? What do you regard as a big party? Yes, there are parties who have been voted before, but the people on the ground, they are not about big parties and small parties. They are about the person who walks into their houses, who tells them what ATM does. So what we have observed is that by us having representation and having people on the ground on daily basis, people resonate to what we are telling them. Our message resonates to the people because our message does not talk ill about anyone. We are not there decampaigning somebody. We are there talking to say, this is the situation we find ourselves in 30 years. This is what ATM will do. And we have been seeing in many rallies that we had, the one we had in the city of Joburg, the one we had at Tegwini Metro, and many others which the media does not follow, but we have been in every province. And you can see that how people want a party that talks to them, that talks to the kind of a life they live. And the morals that we are portraying to the people. As ATM, we are not a breakaway from any party. So we are not saying we left so and so because of this. So our message starts now. The message does not say we were there during the struggle. So people have problems now. So when you talk to the current problems, the current situation, so you can see that they are reacting in a manner that shows that this is what we've been waiting for. People who don't come with credentials that we don't really need now. We need change currently.
IEC often publish a declaration of donations as required by the political party funding, which is about to be a thing of the past. How, and you look, I mean, ATM does not feature the parties that are there, feature with millions. And you see the effect of those by seeing the parties on TV, on billboards and all of that. How does the ATM navigate that space with in as far as funding is concerned, noting that financial muscle is one of the things that are needed? What is it that you get to do to have a national footprint with close to nothing?
Look, one method that we use as ATM is crowdfunding. We don't want anyone to fund us. And many people are asking us to say, but how do you survive when you don't have a specific person or a specific company that funds your election campaign? Look, we believe in God. God provides. And when we are saying God provides, we know for a fact that it's something at the back of your mind, you don't know where it's going to come from. But when you have that faith that God will provide, the very same volunteers of ATM, they will take out of their own pocket. When I move around, the first thing I do, I take out of my pocket. Because I know the purpose of me doing this. It's not about me, it's about the people. So half of the problems are solved. Because many people are used to saying, give me money for me to go and campaign. But our own members, they take first out of their own pockets to say, I'm going to use my own money to go and campaign for ATM. Secondly, we're in partnership because ATM, remember, it was formed in 2019. Firstly, it was established by the chief apostle, Caesar Nong. And as a person who established it, he created partnerships with many churches. He created partnerships with royal families, partnerships with many partners that understood his message. So that's how we got to the establishment of ATM. So mostly it's crowdfunding, which contributes about 70% of what we are doing. Then the others, by God's grace, we can get credit. We can get credit to say, give us water, we'll pay you when we're in power. So people do agree to that because they know that this is a kind of a party that is honest. This is a kind of a party that will really pay them back.
People promise all sorts of things during elections. 1 million houses have been promised at some point, and poverty has been promised to be eradicated, free education. Recently, the quarterly survey, Labor Force, announced that unemployment is at a staggering 31.9%. And one of the reasons people are voting is to improve their lives. With ATM, how is ATM planning on improving people's lives such that unemployment is one of the things that are dealt with? What ideas, what strategies, as people are walking into that ballot booth saying, I'm voting for the ATM, what is it that they must be hoping the ATM will employ in order to change the status quo?
Okay. Thank you for that question. I think because unemployment is a symptom of something.
Yes.
Unemployment in its very nature reflects, one, whether the state is willing to change the lives of the people. So lack of willingness contributes to others being rich and others being poor. Then that leads to unemployment. The second thing that contributes to unemployment is that the people who are seeking for this employment, are they skilled enough? so that they can be absorbed by the market. In other words, if you don't have skilled people that are required by the market or required by the industries, then it simply shows you that those people, it's not that they can't be employed, but they're unemployable. So that's one factor. Second factor,
unemployability,
because there's everybody here he's got energy, he's got time, he's got everything.
Yes.
But the problem is that when you take that person, what type of a job can he do?
Yes.
And if you realize that the reason why people are not able to be employed is because the person who wants a plumber requires somebody who will come into the house, fix the plumbing, and get paid.
Yes.
The person who wants somebody to do painting, I'm talking at a micro level.
Yes.
Because the problem that we have about employment is that the current government will say we need investors. And investors requires government collateral to say, if I want to open a factory here, provide me with water, with the roads, expand the intersections, servitude, everything. So government, without having that, investor says, I will wait for you until you are sorted.
Okay.
But employment happens at the ground level. So when you say employment happens at the ground level, if you are providing this service to somebody, it does not require government intervention. It's because you are skilled to do it. So it means we can be able to employ one another. First, by skilling our people. So community skilling is very important. So secondly, our education system contributes to unemployment. Why people spend 12 years studying from grade 1 up to grade 12? When you leave with your certificate, you still cannot do anything. You can't do anything that can give you payment or that's worth somebody to pay for it.
Yes.
What was that 12 years for? You go to universities, you go to University of Technology, people live there. An engineer will come out of University of Technology, having studied for 4 years or from university, and he says he's looking for employment. Can't you design?
Something.
Surely when you leave, you should be able to design a pipeline. You should be able to design a bridge. Go and design it from your home. Somebody must just assist you to get a design package. But those people, they leave the education system, they're still looking for employment. So first you have to fix those two things, willingness, three things, willingness, to make sure that the government has got focus to say, we want to support. Secondly, the government should be able to allow the SMMEs to prosper. Because when the SMMEs are prospering, they will be able to employ locally. You don't need too much of skill, because we can't say we're waiting for the education system to provide the skilled people. It will take us 10, 15 years. So instead, support the SMMEs. By supporting the SMMEs, you are focusing as the government to say, these people are employable at that level, because they provide labor, they provide soft skills that can be learned in a short space of time. So that's our focus. We are going to make sure that the SMEs are supported so that they can provide that employment. They can look at the very basic employment that needs to be given to the people, and also make sure that the education system in the process gets changed and transformed so that it produces people who can, when they leave there, they can run their own companies. They can, when they leave there, they can open their own services to the people, instead of waiting for government to say one investor will come.
Yes.
You know how much they spend on somebody coming to invest in a particular space. When you are coming here, I'm saying I'm going to build a mall. Government says, here's an investor.
Yes.
That person says, can you do this intersection here? Because I need to move from R21. I need the intersection here so that people can get to my mall. He's not the one doing that.
Yes.
The government is spending R1 billion just to do that intersection. And that person is selling consumables.
Yes.
It's not going to invest anything. The number of jobs you have created spending so much, it's minute compared to the amount that you have spent. Here in Gauteng, they did all these e-tolls.
Yeah.
How many people?
Billions of
rent. How much should you spend to be able to create so much employment?
Yeah.
As a government, you must have that understanding to say, if I'm going to spend so many billions on e-tolls, how does that give result to anything to do with poverty? Because if it's about people having fun of driving in freeways, what about those in the rural areas who don't have freeways?
Exactly.
Because it's willingness. There's no willingness. People want to live in, always support the suburban areas, the affluent areas, but they don't focus on where the unemployment is. Because if people are we are going to develop something, people are still going to travel from Soweto.
Hey.
Now, yes, we have created employment, but somebody who's earning 4,000 rand traveling from Soweto every day, eventually is going to stay at home because it's not worth it. All the money spent on lunchtime and on traveling. So those are the three focus areas that SMMEs open all the factories that were closed.
Yeah.
You know, those factories that in the old homelands, they were closed for a purpose of saying this whole infrastructure must stay here and the government wants to dismantle these homelands. But they forgot that those homelands were designed in such a way that they give space to the homeland itself to provide employment. So when you dismantle that, don't dismantle even those things that works. So we'll go back to those factories in Butterworth, in Tata, in Kwakwa, everywhere, Vembe, everywhere, and find out what type of infrastructure is required to revamp them, because the land belongs to government.
Yes.
There's no one who can claim that land. If it belongs to government, revamp that and have state-owned enterprises that will run in terms of manufacturing, industrialize the country. But you can't industrialize the country by waiting for an investor.
Yes.
When you want to industrialize the country, you have to say, me as a government, I'll have a state-owned enterprise that focuses on industrializing. Go back to those factories, open them up, give them jobs, and start funding them. If people used to do school uniforms here, just put the machines there and employ people. Whoever comes there as an SMME, he qualifies to run that, he must run it.
DSG, other than promises, other than ideas, what is it that you can say which must remain in the conscience of a voter? I want you to speak to that person whom you say you want them to vote ATM. You know, people say we don't trust political parties, they make promises and all those things. What is it that is a unique feature about the ATM? What can you say to a person who remains doubtful who they want to vote for? What is it that you can say they must remember up until they reach that voting booth and cast their eggs next to President Zungulo of the ATM?
Okay, I think for a start, let's go back to 1994. 1994, it was about democracy.
Yes.
People were just voting, not necessarily voting for a party. They were happy that we are voting. Now, people they are no longer voting for a party. They are voting for something that is going to work for them now. But the first thing that we did in 1994 is to have a constitution.
Yes.
A constitution controls everything.
Yes.
If you want to do investment, somebody can sue you. In constitution must
So it's
work.
supreme law of the country.
Supreme law of the country. We are as ATM. The first thing we go back there and look at what that constitution is saying about the current situation. Not what was happening pre-1994.
Not sunset clauses.
Not sunset clauses. Not how people were killed before the struggle. We are no longer we are under struggle now. The constitution needs to be refined, and we need to then go to the people to say, what do you want to see in your constitution? Because that becomes a supreme law. Then all the legislation are linked to the constitution.
So referendum on constitution, basically.
Yes. Every other thing is linked to the constitution. So we need to have that agenda to say, what is that is working legislative-wise towards the poor and the majority? Put away the black, white thing. Just say poor and the majority. We are no longer from apartheid now. We are talking about black and white. Let's talk about the poor and the majority. If the majority are black, then it's black. We can't change that. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We want to promise the people that we won't just ride on the horse that was ridden by somebody who had another agenda.
So you're not jumping onto the gravy train?
No, we are not going to start where they have ended and say, let's continue. Or that is why I can't say to you now, we'll provide houses. Because is that what people want? We don't know. Until we have said, is that clause in the Constitution talking to the current situation of the people, what they need now, then we provide them with leadership with no links with the sunset clauses.
Yes.
Because people, we must understand that people made promises in 1994. That is why things are not changing.
Yes.
That is why you see cosmetic changes, because what the capitalists did, they took few of those who were part of the CODESA.
Yes.
You can go anywhere. Whoever was part of the CODESA is rich.
He's a beneficiary.
He's a billionaire.
Yes.
All those who were part of the CODESA, there's no one who's poor there. So what is that they agreed to? That made them to be the richest now. They are billionaires now because of what they agreed to during the CODESA. Let's cancel everything about CODESA. Let's start afresh. Because now it's a new era. 30 years, everybody must be matured enough in 30 years. So our democracy has not matured, it's just gone backward. So we want to start a new democracy that is called leadership, servanthood leadership. That is a peaceful environment. Something people who are coming from not a political party, but from the community with the service, with the level of Ubuntu, with the level of accountability, who've got a transformative mind. You know, somebody who does not believe, who the current government believes in continuity. We can't continue. We have to stop.
We need to reset.
We need to reset.
We need to start afresh.
So what we are promising the voter is say, give us a chance as ATM to press the reset button. Because if you continue with those, even those who were there and broke away from others, they won't press a reset button because they also have something that they missed, that they were not part of the gravy train. Now they started to form another party from another. Now it's a continuation. Let's have a new party with a new mind, with a new mandate, with a new fresh faces that we have never seen before. When ATM is in government, we won't see any previously involved politician in any of our lists, from provincial to national. So that's what we are promising the people. It's a time now to press a reset button and give you the leadership that will start a new 30 years, if that is what is required. So that's what we are giving them. And we are assuring them that the character of government must be a character that is based on African values. It's a character that understands that we are in Africa here. We are not in Europe. And we are not from the East. We are in Africa.
Are going to draw with Roman Dutch law?
The Roman Dutch law, for that mere fact that we continued with the Roman Dutch law, it tells you that a lot was agreed upon that does not really help. So African customs and African law must be included in the law of South Africa, something that works for African. And whether we link it to what was there before, but it must be reviewed. So when I talk about constitution, I talk about everything else. And that will make the people realize that we are part of the new dispensation. Because 30 years backwards, that's old dispensation. We can't continue. Because if you continue, then the results are going to be the same. If you put the same people in power, what do you expect from them? You expect them to continue where they have stopped. And they will promise 1 million here. Out of so many jobs that we have said that we are unemployment is sitting at that percentage.
Yeah, 31
and it means if somebody is promising 1 million jobs in 5 years, then when are you going to get to the rest of the other...
which is 11 million people unemployed.
When are you going to get to them? If you are promising 1 million in 5 years, then it means you don't have any willingness. You don't have any strategy. You don't have a plan to change anything. So voters must be serious about their votes.
The ATM has been bold in talking about death penalty. There's something which touch people on their studios. People jump when you mention the killing of the people. What are you hoping to achieve with death penalty?
Look, people are suffering death penalty now, but it's just that it's in the hands of individuals. Every family member in South Africa, the majority, have had a situation where one of their family members or siblings or relatives, something happened to him or her by somebody killing him. Not dying a natural death, not an accident. So it tells you that if those people are suffering like that, there's only one way that you are going to say to the people, whoever does this to the other, he must expect the same to be done unto him. The Bible says The same scale as you judge others, you shall be judged. So we are not coming with something that is just going to come in there and start slaughtering people. We are not coming with something that is going to kill political leaders, because that's what death penalty was before. Those who were called political leaders, activists, they were killed because they were called terror. No, we are talking about somebody specifically who takes somebody's life, somebody who commits heinous crime that really you can see that this person does not does not have a respect for life. How can we guarantee you life when you don't have respect for life? Because by taking 3 or 4 people's lives in one family, killing all of them, shooting their husband and raping the wife, raping the children, I mean, what kind of a person is this? This is not a human being. This is some animal. How can you get to somebody's house sleeping at night? You rape the wife in front of the children. You kill the husband, the father. You kill the mother. You know, you're still gonna take money out of these people. What type of a person is this? There's no way that we can allow that to happen under ATM. People like that will go through the process that normally go through in terms of the
justice system,
criminal procedures, until at such time that we get to the constitutional court level where you are saying nobody can agree with you that there's something wrong with what we are going to do to you, then that is it. That penalty is the way to go.
You know, you mentioned SMMEs earlier, and a lot of SMMEs will say, we don't get money to fund our businesses. We have ideas in order to be self-sustainable, but you just can't move. People often make examples that it's easier to get a loan for a car, for credit card, but to get a bank to fund a business, it's a difficult thing. Is this an issue of government not having money, or is it an issue of poor governance, or what is the bottleneck? If you identify SMMEs as a solution to creating jobs, why is it that a lot of small businesses are struggling in South Africa? Some end up closing shop for that matter.
Okay. Firstly, we must understand that banks are not there to work to grow the economy.
Yes.
Banks are not there to grow the SMME. Banks are there to provide debt and make profit.
Yes.
So to say banks must be involved, the current system of banks, it won't work. Don't even try to politicize it and just put it aside. Have a state bank.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, by establishing a state bank, you are creating a system that is able to recognize the demise of the SMME.
Yes.
Because those banks won't change whatever they're doing. We don't even want to know.
They are capitalists.
Yes. They're capitalists and they're here for profit and they won't change.
Yes.
You can trade transformation this, transformation that, create the state
You can
bank.
put in black CEOs there, it still won't change.
No, the chairperson of those banks, most of them were politicians. But what did they do? They didn't change anything. There were B partners there, they didn't change anything. So put the banks, have a state bank.
Yeah.
So the state bank will at heart be focusing on taking a risk because it's a state bank to give you money. Because they have understood the background, they have understood you don't have a collateral, they have understood you have a skill, you have the know-how, so they can be able to fund you. But beyond that, the state collects trillions of rand, and state spend trillions of rand. Now, the state must put its book here and say 60% of this trillion or whatever, 2 trillion that we have collected must go towards SMME.
Okay.
That is willingness.
Yes.
You don't need a rocket scientist to come and tell you that how to grow an economy. Economy has got 4 components in it. It's just got employment. If it's low, the economy won't grow. It's got investment. If it's low, the economy won't grow. So it doesn't need somebody to come and teach us that. So the state must spend all its money towards the SME. I mean, 70% to 60% of its expenditure must go towards SMMEs. When you go to the office of the president, he must be able to show you that, you see this, I bought it in Khayelitsha. This table,
all the
yes,
bills.
I bought it in Diepsloot.
Okay.
He mustn't tell us that, I doesn't know where these things are coming
the
from.
floor rug.
It must not be a made in China something.
Yes.
If they're willing, like start with the president, to say, he mustn't say, and I'm wearing one suit. One suit is how much?
Once a year.
No, once a year, then we are making just a story. This table, these chairs, this chalk, this pen, this are made in South Africa.
So 60% of government expenditure.
It is possible.
Okay.
People are standing under the bridges here, trying to manufacture something. And who buys there? Nobody. Because they say, where's the tax clearance? Where's this? Where's that? And the person says, okay, let me go and sit under the tree and sell my tables there. Why can't the state just go straight there and say, you have the skill?
Yes.
Can you produce 20 of this?
Yes.
And we're going to buy. What do you need?
You need a larger factory.
Yes.
You need land. You need.
We're going to buy all of them. But what we need from you, how many people are you going to employ? That's employment plus SMMEs at the same time. The state does not need to wait for the investor. I repeat that. The state must not keep on saying, let's do everything in our power to attract an investor. The state must take its money towards the poor and the majority. They must go to the townships and say, people who can produce 1, 2, 3, 4, come and show us.
Okay.
People have got what they have produced already. The person can do a table and come and display. Have a big display place to say, come and show us. We are coming to procure.
Yes.
People must come with what they have done with their hands. Then the more you buy of those, the more they create jobs locally with lesser expenses, with lesser overheads. So you have created jobs and you have supported SMMEs. Then when those SMMEs have graduated, they can go to the banks themselves now, because you must lift them from one level to the other.
Yes.
But when they go to the banks, now starting to open, getting into the market where they are competing amongst each other, then that's where the state bank comes in. The state bank will take a risk because they can see the profile of this person.
Yes.
But you can't expect somebody right in the townships of Diepsloot to come and supply you something and you ask all this red tape of things that you want.
Yes.
So once he's there, at the level where you have lifted him as a government, you say, okay, there is a state bank. Go and put your business plan at the state bank because you have developed that person. So by that, you don't need 5 years to do that. You can start tomorrow because the budget is there now. You can start changing whatever that you are going to use going forward. Manufacture it here.
I have two last things I wanted to address, DSG. The ATM has spoken about the royal traditional leaders and all of that. Where do you place them in the governance of a country? You seem to be suggesting that they must be held in high regard. Well, what role do you see kings, queens, chiefs play in the governance compared to what is happening now?
Okay, currently what the structure of government has got a department of corporate governance and traditional affairs. That's all what it's doing.
Yeah.
And the traditional leadership are given space to discuss whatever, which does not get taken anywhere because they are not in parliament themselves. They will take few of them and make them ministers and they keep quiet because they're benefiting. They're no longer worried about the rest. But with ATM government, we are saying there must be a specific department that deals with, firstly, they must be taken care of.
Yes.
You know, this thing of not taking care of our traditional leaders, it comes back to us to say we are killing our own Africanism. And those people are the wealth of our culture. They are what is installed in them is what we need to teach our children for decades to come.
The indigenous knowledge system.
Yes, if you don't look after them, number one, you just treat them like they are beggars. Definitely, they will start not being recognized by the very people where they live. Then they won't be listened unto. But look at the role of Isbonda. When somebody has raped somebody, before they call the police and all, they cry and run to Isbonda. Somebody is sick. Somebody is dying. Isbonda has to be there without even the chief and the paramount chief or the king. That at that level, that person is the one who go from one household to the other. That people need to be compensated for that work that they are doing because that's community work. You don't need to have community workers. Why do you bring in another some group of people who are called community workers. Those are community workers. So their role must start from there, go to the local government. Local government, they've got land. They've got arable land where we can start agriculture. They need to be supported, but they need to form part of the decisions that are made in council. They need to form part of the decisions that are made in provincial government. They need to. Then the kings and the queens must be at the national level, where now they understand the needs of the people at the different levels. So it's not rocket science to know that those people, they've got a contribution that they've been doing. The land that we have now, who fought for it? If they did not fight against the settlers, we wouldn't have this South Africa that we pride ourselves with. But because now we came with democracy, it is if only those who were in the ANC fought for the land. They have land, but we are not supporting them. So when you talk about development, development mayoqala komkhulu. Masifika sonke komkhulu sithi silapha sizokwenza into ethile ucinga ntoni wena singathi sesigqibile thina wawungekho. No, we have to go there and say, what do you think? What is your role in this? And where do you think that we should focus on? Who are the most impoverished families here? And where you think employment can be done? They have that wisdom of identifying those that need more help. Instead of in the places of traditional leadership courts, we need to empower them, because you can't always deal with crime, petty crime, by everybody going to the courts.
Juveniles.
That's why you have a backlog of so much of people reporting things at the police station and nobody does anything about them. But people can still be reprimanded at that level. So if you empower those courts or traditional courts, they will be able to deal. That is why the legislation is important. You can't do that without changing the legislation.
Okay. You spoke about Chief Apostle Professor Caesar Nonmunga as the founder of the ATM. What is his role overall in the goings on of the ATM? And maybe just take us through the concept of the presence of amongst the ranks of the ATM, his presence as a chief apostle, who's a professor, as the founder, and what his role is.
Okay, according to our constitution, the founder of ATM remains Caesar Nonmunga. So it will remain like that. And we are saying that at that particular level, he's our spiritual head. Okay. Not spiritual father.
Okay.
Spiritual head. I know many people say it's a father. It's a head.
Okay.
The head means it can be both administrative and spiritual.
Okay.
So in other words, that is why you see many parties, they just segregate and they have fights. If all what the NEC from the president going down does not work, he's the one to tell us where to go.
Okay.
So we have a compass, a moral compass. We have a spiritual compass. We have somebody who can direct us when we are in loggerheads. So his role remains important in ATM. Firstly, spirituality is very important because he has that gift within himself. And it cannot be a gift that can be shared with anyone. It can only be in him. That is why we say it will remain the chief apostle, because that gift is the one that directs us, that keeps us in peace and makes sure that there's harmony within the movement. But also, he does not do the day-to-day operation of ATM. The NEC has got its own top 7 appointed by him. Only the top 7, because those are the people that he has been guided to say this one is ready to serve. This one is ready to be part of the ATM. So if he appoints the top 7 and he has a council of elders, so the council of elders are his own advisors. So when they have agreed on something to be done in ATM, then all of us agree to it. But he gives space, because he's not on day-to-day operation. He gives space to democracy to prevail within the ranks of the ATM. He gives space to structures of the ATM to decide what they want to do. But where we are not in agreement, because that's what is important. That's what makes most parties to just go for splits. And you see what happened. I don't want to mention names, but the leaders of the same party are competing each other. They have created so many parties here that it is like now democracy is about splitting parties. because all the parties that you see, they broke away from one party. So him being there keeps us sane, keeps us intact, and keeps on reminding us why we had formed ATM. Because we don't want to lose that company.
Yes.
We don't want to create a monster that tomorrow there's no one who can claim it and say, now he's going astray. Now he's the one who's giving us that moral compass.
Okay. DSG, thank you very much for joining us. The much and most talked about general election in South Africa since 1994 is upon us. The 29th of May, which was proclaimed by the president, is here. Thetha nabantu. I'm sure you are here because you want votes.
Yes,
definitely. Oh, talk up.
The thing about voting, ndifuna ithetha ngelanguage abantu bazayiva, because I'm not expecting votes from people who talk English. Ngibale batho babanzi. Ngibale batho ba understandang hore poverty tlamehile ifele. So poverty hore ifele, we need people ba nang le moya wa ho tseba hore we have to start afresh. And batho ba senang di-link le ntho tse etsahetseng kgale, ba senang di-link le di-decision tsa CODESA, abo bantu ke bayakwazi ukurespecta iinkokheli zesintu, bayakwazi urespecta iinkokheli zabantu, iinkokheli zenkonzo. Sifuna aba bantu igabo abasizoninika bona, abantu abaphekiweyo kwasekuhlaleni, abaphekiweyo kwasezinkonzweni, abaphekiweyo who have been activists, some of them, trying to make it work. So sithi ke kunini bantu bonke base-South Africa, khani votele uVuyo Zungula. Mawufika lapha ku-ballot paper yakho, fika nje wena ubheke into ethi African Transformation Movement, ubheke umfana omncane uZungula, ubeke wena u-X wakho lapha. Ngoba siyayazi uma uyibeke lapha i-X yakho, siyayazi ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyawushintsha yonke lento lapha eSouth Africa. Within 5 years singenile thina si-ATM, impilo zenu zizoshintsha.
Thank you, Mhlekazi. You've been watching the sheds. We've been shedding light on the ATM, joined by Aubrey Katsane, the DSG of the ATM. I hope you are convinced. If you are not, stay tuned. There are more programs coming. There are more ideas. Follow us on social media and keep watching this program. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.